Welcome to another episode of the Read Pile. If things have worked out correctly, then this video should be going up the day that Season 3 premieres, at least in the US, which I'm very much looking forward to. So, I'm talking about One Punch Man volumes 29 and 30. I have already read 31, waiting for now patiently for volume 32, which I believe is out in December, and I will talk about 31 at that time. So, for now, 29, 30, this is Blast here on the cover, so he does appear, he has things to say, which I am curious about, but here we get, these are mostly the heroes. I think the next volume has the villains that I'll be talking about, so I'll grab that one at some point. But here we go. So we've still got Evil Mineral Water, President Ugly, Homeless Emperor, we've got Spermatozoan, and Gums. And there's also this cube. I gotta talk about the cube. Basically, in this volume, these guys start to fight one another. They're eyeing each other, and it's pretty great. But yeah, this series is so... I didn't notice this patch until now. That's pretty awesome, too. I've had this thought for a while that the series, like, has to be near its end, and then things get introduced, and I'm like, it can't be anywhere near the end because things are still... I'll get there. There's a mystical sword, a legendary sword that gets introduced in volume 30, and at the time of its introduction, it's like, oh, there's a pair to this. There's another sword that nobody currently has, and I'm like, is somebody going on a quest? Is somebody gonna now need to find a second legendary sword? I'm like, how much longer can this series run? Because it seems like so many things are nearing a conclusion, and then it's like, nope, swerve, we're going off in this new direction, and here's a bunch of other stuff that needs to happen. It might sound like I'm frustrated. I am enjoying the ever-living hell out of this. So let's talk about it. A couple of volumes ago, I want to say, Saitama, Flash, and Monster Guy, whose name I can't remember, Oculet? I might actually be right on that. These three were separated from everyone else. They were underground. They wound up in this other place, and there's this voice that's talking to them, and there's this cube that's on the ground, and Blast shows up, and he's like, I hope nobody touched this cube that I'm just going to casually play with. And it broke the ground when it hit there. And, yeah, he talks briefly about the cube, but in vague sentences, and Flash attacks the first person he sees again. And, like, there's so much stuff that's still unresolved and needs to go somewhere. And, I don't know, man, it's mystifying. I'm here for all of it, but whenever I think things are nearing a conclusion, like I already said, it just shifts directions and does something completely unexpected. So we've got Child Emperor, we've got Zombie Man, we've got a Mime Mask, all three of them in this panel here, and in this volume, people get just brutalized. Both of these, honestly, just brutal things happen, and it has been... Oops. It has been a series where largely people get injured, but they don't die. And there's some real, just surprise brutality, just how much stuff happens to these characters. But all of this stuff is going on. Basically, we've got the S-Class heroes, we've got the leader monsters starting to face off, but everyone is kind of eyeing Tank Top Master. He's talking about Tornado, and our rivalry makes my tank top tighter. Like, this is hilarious. Tank Top Master. We also have... Is it here? No, it's not yet. Not yet. I'll get there. But this is where the the monster leaders start eyeing each other, and we get some insight into basically how they view each other and how they think each one of them can take each other out. Here is a My Mask, and at this point, when this stuff started happening, I'm like, this is secretly Zombie Man, right? Because I don't think he can take this, and yet somehow, like, there has been something odd about a My Mask this entire time, and I'm like, is he also a zombie? Is he also in dead? Because I don't know. I don't foresee him surviving this, and yet things have. We've got 29 volumes, basically 31, everything that I've read so far, where this sort of thing doesn't happen, and I'm like, I'm looking at this panel like, a My Mask is gonna be okay somehow, right? Right? It's nuts. Anyway, we've got President Barf, we've got Spermatozoan, we've got Homeless Emperor. This is Gums reemerging. He had been underground, and there's someone else, right? Evil Mineral Water, who hasn't been seen for a while. So these three starting to attack the humans, the S-Class heroes, and we've got Genos here. There's really great moments. So this is one shared between Blizzard and Genos, and then there's another one a little bit later where, if I could find it, he gets told, you can't just say thanks, and it's such a brilliant moment. But there's this one between Tornado and Blizzard. They have a meeting. There it is. Can't you just say thanks? We've got him referring to her as their leader, which is, it's so great. There's so many phenomenal moments in this. And then, again, just brutality. So here is Gums chewing on Tank Top Master, and they get rescued by, what, Pig God? Somebody else gets their arm ripped off, and President Ugly's just super creepy. Tank Top Master, like this, nothing about this is good. He is later better looking than that. His limbs are at least in the right positions, but at that moment, things are terrible, right? This is the entry of, oh man, things are so great, right? And then Destructing Punch, and he redirects it to hit Gums. This is incredible. There's so many moments in this that I just absolutely loved. And here is the reemergence of Mineral Water. What if it absorbs the ocean? Yeah, that's terrible. That should definitely be a concern. And Blackluster is just being shined up by water. And next volume, some other terrible things are going to happen. So let's look at this now. For a long time, this guy has been splitting off, and at one point they talk about like 54 trillion of him exist, and at this point in the series, he's this tsunami that's just going over the city. Here is the return of the Sword Masters, and the Sword Masters were last seen early on with the monsterization sales. This is at the time that the tournament was going on, and Atomic Samurai, I believe, was going out to talk about Garo with them. I could be wrong. It's a very long time ago, but they reemerge, and Spring Mustachio is here in the background. This volume reveals that he is a stronger fighter than anyone has known him to be to date. It's so awesome. This is where the legendary sword gets introduced, and Garo reemerges, and there's more disgusting stuff in this. Let me get to one of them. There's a great team-up moment between these two again. But this is what happens to President Ugly, because he winds up on the inside of Gums, and then he basically becomes, I think, living stomach acid at that point. At least that's how I'm interpreting it. And here's Tank Top Master with his limbs, and he's an attempt is being made to heal him. But like the stuff that's happening to these guys, and here is Blackluster fighting the new version of President Ugly, but now I think his name changed, and so now his hands are messed up, and then he gets sprayed, and he's basically losing his luster at this point. So and this isn't one of the main characters, but like you're not coming back from that. Like, whew, there's so much that happens in this. And then these two start to fight, and there's a flashback chapter between Bang and Bomb, which is also great, but the level that Garo is operating now is oof. Garo's level is crazy. Like, he has to be, and then this guy gets basically a Frieza kind of. This isn't his final form, but this guy's basically in a Dragon Ball manga, and everyone else is in something else. It's nuts, and I loved every second of it. I cannot wait to see the animated season 3. I can't wait for volume 32, and now that I'm caught up with it, it's going to be a tough wait for new volumes to come out, but I'm on board for it because I love this series so much. So, I absolutely recommend this. Check out the animated season 3 if you are caught up on the show. There is supposedly a recap that came out the week before for season 2, so that is also available. And just jump in. Start at the beginning, jump in, because One Punch Man it's incredible. I love it. I'm fully on board for however long this lasts, even if it constantly seems like it's near the end. I don't believe that it is. So, that's all I got. Until next time, I will say, so I've been sitting on this for a while, but I do have Sakamoto volumes 17 and 18, and I'll be getting to that and some of the other stuff that I haven't been reading, because so much of the last few months have been taken up by One Punch Man, which is not at all a complaint. I'm just enjoying every second of it.